Congressman Max Miller. He's joining us on the Marcello's Hot Honey Pepperoni Hotline. Congressman, listen, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, well, Jake and Kenny, my words may have been struck down, but guess what? The American people got to hear them, and they sided with me. And she does associate herself with those individuals every single day, and she advocates for them, too. And I got to tell you, our office receives support from all across the country, not only Republicans, which is, I'm sure, what most people would think, but guess what? A lot of independents and a ton of Democrats, because they don't like what's happening to their party either. So this is something that we've been continuing to do in Congress, but standing up for the United States of America and pushing back against the silly narrative that Rashida Tlaib is pushing is something that we'll always do. But I got to tell you, it felt really good to do that on the House floor for our district and for our country.
Yeah, I was watching the clip of that. And I'm like, he's doing a good job, like keeping composure, and then when I saw your head turn, I go, oh, this is going to be good. And you said that, I had to pause the video. I started laughing, man. And then it was so funny because as I was getting ready to send it to Kenny sent it to me. I have a few other people sending it to me, and I'm like, man, this is hilarious. I cannot wait to talk to him about this. It was so good, so good, and well done.
Thank you. I got to tell you, though, the person who deserves a lot of credit here is Chairman Brian Mast, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, who really, after, I was told I couldn't speak for the rest of the day, he read my words into the record, and I believe they were, I said it, I own it, I stand by it. And then he started reading in articles into the record, Jake and Kenny, okay, that were titled, Rashida Tlaib dines, with Hamas terrorists, along the lines of that. And he entered in several articles into the record, and she had a complete meltdown. And once again, all these individuals do is they go with personal attacks, and they don't rely on the facts that are there. And it's something that Democrats do every single day. But shout out to Chairman Mast out of Florida, who did one heck of a job as an American patriot. But yeah, that was quite a fun day that, we haven't had in a while. So.
Yes, I said it. I own it, and I stand by it.
That's right. It was great. And I mean, and then on top of it, I mean, you also, you made some headlines because of the different hearings and different things that you had going on. And I mean, you really got some answers on things for the listeners that might not have been following along with all of the hearings last week. What was your biggest takeaway from Secretary Rubio's testimony on Iran and the foreign policy?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we had two big witnesses. So, as you said, Secretary Rubio on Foreign Affairs and Secretary Besson in Ways and Means. But Secretary Rubio, when I was asking him questions, he was very, forthright and direct. And he was very clear that, why is a country building up their enrichment when it comes to uranium levels the way that Iran is? And that I still do believe that what the administration did and what Secretary Rubio advocating in terms of taking out the Ayatollah and the IRGC regime was the right thing to do. But if you see what's happening now, I don't know if people have noticed, I bet you they have, gas prices are going down right now. And the more and more, Jake, I listen to Secretary Rubio talk, the more and more I realize that maybe, just maybe, it's not a good idea to, have your, independence to a certain extent rely on a terrorist nation. Maybe that's something we really shouldn't think about continuing to do and look for other ways in order to make sure that, we're an energy independent country as we once were before. And so right now, from what I'm seeing, our ports are open, energy is back online. It's my hope that the administration can keep this consistent. And look, if these crazy people out there in the Strait of Hormuz want to continue to do damage to them and erode away their country, I like how we're thinking outside of the box and actually delivering for the American people, right? This isn't a sustainment of what Biden did in terms of gas prices, directing the market to EVs instead of everything else. I mean, if President Trump and Secretary Rubio do end up, being successful in this timeline, it's pretty remarkable that it only took about 4 to 5 months in order to accomplish this, to make the world a safer place for, my kids, yours, and everyone else's in this country and in the world for that matter.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, when all of this started, I think the big fear was, a forever war, because we've just seen it time and time again. And I even had to, to myself, I had to go, all right, you can't get, caught up in all of that, because that's just propaganda at this point. And there's no proof that it's going to be a forever war. And in my head, I go, it'd be great if it ends in 3, but I think it'll be done in 6. I don't know why. That just seemed to be my mindset, because we know the way that President Trump and the people in his administration, the good thing about the fact that we've seen them in positions before is we know how they work, and we know that they're going to be willing to make a deal. But man, once they hit that point of we're over it, get it done or else, that's when people really start to take them seriously. And let me ask you, because there were some things made about a congressional vote last week when it comes to just how much power Congress and the president, that, with war powers and oversight with military action involving Iran, how much control or say should Congress have when it comes to a military action?
Yeah, in terms of, a full-on military action, I believe that Congress should have a say. It's within our Article 1 authority that I believe has been taken away from Congress for some time. And now I'm not just saying this as an excuse to punt the proverbial football here. But presidents before, President Trump have done exactly, what he has done in Iran. As I've been on your show before, we talked about President Barack Obama and his actions in Libya and what he did with drone strikes over in the Middle East.
Yep.
And, what is said about, tens of thousands of innocent individuals being killed. No one likes to talk about that. But at the end of the day, if it is going to be a seismic shift within our country's history, yes, members of Congress deserve a voice in it, because we are the voice of the people back home. That is our job. Our job is not to push a plan that they are not ready for. Our job is to listen to them every step of the way and to make sure that their voices are accurately represented in Congress. So, yes, I agree, that we should have more say in it. But I also agree that the administration should be more open about it, at least with members of Congress. They have been, Secretary Rubio has been brought in. He's been very open. But it would be nice to get higher level briefings. And I understand what the president says, I don't want to give away the game plan, okay, Jake? Because if I do, they'll know what an idiot Obama was. Okay, told him what he,
Right.
I get his strategy. But, we also, we are held accountable by the people to be, truthful to them, as I always am. So.
And yeah, and that we also hear that a lot, because, we'll have callers from both sides that say that, there should be, briefings with Congress so they know what's going on. And then on the flip side of that, and I can really understand it from both sides when you have people that go, yeah, well, people in Congress, some of them can't keep their mouth shut. So why would the administration tell them what's going on? And so, I really do. I see it. I get where they're coming from.
Yeah, they're not wrong at all, Jake.
Right.
There are some people and members of Congress that should not have information and access to things. And look, members of Congress are just like everybody else. They're no different. They're very human. And some of them can be trusted and some of them can't be. And there's more than you think. But at the end of the day, I do believe that the administration and every administration, regardless of the president, should be forthright with Congress in terms of military action, because they would probably end up receiving more support, which means that there'd be less backlash within the country if we were all more informed. So,
hey, you also had another hearing, and you mentioned it before with the Treasury Secretary. Can you tell us a little bit about the Digital Parity Act and what exactly it is for those who might not know what that bill will do?
Yeah, exactly. So we've been working on this for about 16 months within our office in D.C., and when I was looking at cryptocurrency, Jake, I had no idea, and Kenny, I didn't know if you guys knew this, but 1 in every 5 Ohioans owns cryptocurrency. That blew my mind. It is a new, form of investment, a new form of interchange and paying for things. And right now, there is no, guardrails on cryptocurrency that are there to make sure that it's safe. And right now, we are losing business to other countries because we do not have a stable tax code when it comes to cryptocurrency. And this is something that, industry and people have really asked for, because at the end of the day, when you're doing your taxes, Jake and Kenny, and I was getting this education and have been, you could be paying phantom taxes. And if you're a company out there and you want to set up in the United States of America, which President Trump says he wants to make the cryptocurrency of the world and the crypto capital, then that's something that we have to do here. And Secretary Bessent gave us, great answers in saying that he would work with me, along with a colleague of mine on the committee, Stephen Horsford, in order to accomplish that. So, my hope is that we get this done so we don't live in a world, and, hopefully never, where Elizabeth Warren is Treasury Secretary, and then she raises the taxes on these things and drives out cryptocurrency, just like the Biden administration tried to do. So this is just, very simple in terms of just putting guardrails in place to make sure that the other side, if they get in charge, don't take it too far and raise taxes that the American people can't stomach.
You also brought up the Full House Act. What's the problem that bill's trying to fix when it comes to gambling losses and taxation?
Yeah, so when I introduced this bill, people were like, what is Miller doing? And so what I've noticed is from reconciliation, there was a tax that was put in on gaming. And it is a very steep tax. What this would do is it would turn it back to the status quo. Right now, we are losing people within the service industry with no tax on tips. A lot of people aren't going to casinos anymore. And we have one in the city of Cleveland. And, we have constituents that work at that casino. And if you look at our district, we are just about 12 minutes outside of that casino. And so that does matter to me, and it should matter to everyone. And we're losing, a lot of business and revenue. And and where it's going is Russian illicit gaming casinos online. And guess where that money's going? Exactly where it sounds. And that money is then going to harm other people, whether it be in Ukraine or whether it be Americans in Iran, because we know Russia and Iran are working together and have been for some time. So this is also a national security, measure that we're taking into consideration and wanting that back here within the United States. So it's just more than, going back to the status quo. It's making sure that our country is safe and continuing to be, as we make sure that we aren't having Americans or, other individuals spend money at illicit casinos that are only going to harm Americans or our allies overseas.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we want to make sure our money stays here, not, it can't be used against us later on. Before I let you go, Congressman, what are some of the things that we should keep an eye on this week? You got a busy week ahead is basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, well, don't worry. Every day for me and our team is an adventure, one that, we actually look forward to. And so this week is going to be no different than any other week. I'm sure it's going to be crazy. The hearings aren't as big, but what I'm hoping is that we can find, a resolution to reconciliation and that our conference can get on the same page here because, look, we can acknowledge that right now, where we are today, the midterms are going to be tough. And the only people who are going to support us, are our own team. And it's our job to make sure that we have that message that only resonates with our base, that gets our people out to vote this November, but also attracts the middle. And I believe that, from now on, from this point in Congress, you're going to see that on the official side. And you're going to see it as well on the political side as we've been, out in the community. Even yesterday, we were at the North Olmsted Community Park opening, which was fantastic. My daughter had a blast. And then we were at the Parma Ribbon Rock. And so, those are the things that we need to do and focus on the issues that matter. My hope is, we can really pass some legislation that's going to help, lower the cost of goods, that's actually going to make our lives better. And, so that's what I'm focused on. But who knows, someone could go on the House floor again, Jake, and, maybe say that, someone who associates themselves with terrorists are going to go ahead and do that again. So
well, as long as they say it and they stand by it, that's what matters.
Well, here, I know I'm getting kicked off, but real quick, we'll see if I decide to go back down to the House floor and make my remarks just a little bit more broad and see if they're going to strike them. And if they do, then I would force it to a vote and bring every member back to the House.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's go ahead and see, how sensitive. And just remember the last thing, we're talking about the same people who set up the czar of misinformation, who wanted to monitor our phones and tell us what we could and could not say. And so I'm sorry, Ms. Tlaib, that you got offended by the truth. So look, it should be a fun week. If we decide, to enter into that fray again, you'll be the first to know.
All right, sounds good. Well, Congressman, thank you for your time, and have a good week. We'll catch up again next week.
All right, guys. Take care.
That, of course, Congressman Max Miller joining us on the Marcello's Hot Honey Pepperoni Hotline.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we getting a little emotional?
I can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be so good. We'll be back. When we come back, we're going to talk to Jeff and Gina from Gina's Gelato and Java. They got a cool backstory. I like what they're doing there. And the gelato's incredible. You'll hear more about that when we come back. This is the Jake Underwood Show.